For the participants, the third session will be delivered by Dr. Amit Kharat, the co-founder of Deep Tech Technology. Sir, please begin.
Thank you so much for inviting me today for this session. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'll directly jump into the presentation and start with the discussions. As I understand, primarily the focus of this program is around medical imaging, and I bring to you the most important and primary imaging, that is the chest X-ray. And things which are happening in this space, how deep learning is evolving and moving across this field is something that will be an area of interest for me to show. So the title of my topic is AI-enabled smart reporting for chest X-rays, how it is transforming radiology productivity and accuracy. As you all know, chest X-ray is one of the most common imaging modalities, which is globally available. In fact, the most highly penetrated imaging modality globally. Yet, when I say it is the most highly penetrated imaging modality in terms of is available across the population, not only in India but globally, the total access should not be more than 50% to 60%. The entire rest of the world still lacks access to this very basic imaging modality, which is the chest X-ray. On an average, on a yearly basis, at least 7 to 8 billion chest X-rays are done annually, while some estimates share that it could be between 3 to 4 billion. There is no accurate estimate. This is a global estimate, but you can see like approximately 50% of the world's population undergoes chest X-rays. When I say that some X-ray patients will receive chest X-rays once in every 2 hours, particularly if they are in the ICU. And of course, there are people who will not even get access to one X-ray during their lifetime. Now, when we have such a powerful imaging modality at hand, the challenge what we see globally is that you may do a chest X-ray, but you may still not have access to radiologists to report them. The technology still is very primitive in terms of most of the 50% of the chest X-rays still today could be the conventional variety where you use darkroom to process the X-rays. Though they are getting phased out, and we are seeing more and more of X-rays which are being done are digital. But it's going to be a journey where all these conventional X-rays will be completely taken over by digital X-rays. The digital boom is moving at a very rapid pace because X-ray machines are getting miniaturized. X-ray machines are getting smaller and smaller in size. At the same time, technology is making it easy to digitize X-rays and transfer these X-rays over a distance. And as a result of this, experts who are sitting remotely can also report these X-rays. But the problem with experts who are reporting remotely is that they are also inundated with a huge amount of workload. Just to give you a statistic, X-rays constitute the lowest in terms of the things or a priority on the mind of a radiologist. The reason is because high demand imaging modalities like CT scan, MRI, and patients who are physically visiting the hospitals, particularly for doing ultrasound, color Doppler, take center stage. As a result, all these imaging modalities go down in the list of priority. Many times these are unreported and go to the physicians directly. In this particular journey, as a result, AI is making a big kind of an impact and is coming in a larger way into the workflow. And here I am showing you two options or two different ways in which it is coming into the workflow. It is basically coming into hospital and imaging center market, and it is coming into the public sector. And both of these are different use cases. The public sector basically looks at disease control, infection control. Advanced countries and advanced nations which have taken the public health infection kind of has been got under control, for example, as the previous speaker was also mentioning about tuberculosis, then what remains is cancer. And chest X-rays are important to detect not only tuberculosis, but also cancer. Also, it could be used for detecting certain kind of infections which are very common in certain geographies. For example, silicosis, where there is mining is happening. Silicotuberculosis, again, where mining happens. Then pneumonias, pediatric pneumonias, adult pneumonias. And in the most common adult pneumonia today, what we look at is we think of is the COVID wave that went a few years back. But then every time, every summers or somewhere around that time, you'll see a new virus attacking the chest. So chest therefore becomes a very important area of concern. And our idea today is why not have this as the most critical area and work in finding some solutions in this space. So that's how we are looking at this. The important aspect when we look at a solution, whether it is a hospital workflow or in a government setup, the idea is that we need to have a solution which works on the edge. That means along with the device. The device has to be digital. And second important thing is this particular solution need not require internet connection. It can work on a basic system or a very basic hardware, just like a laptop, and it can interface with the X-ray machine. And as soon as the X-ray happens, within less than 30 seconds, it should be able to give at least some delineation or a marker as to what's wrong in that particular X-ray. So if you look at the chest X-ray itself, then we have this different things. One is we can use chest X-ray for, if it is a hospital setup, then for improving the clinical productivity, or we can use it for screening like the TB screening, and or it can be used for visa screening. Now these are different use cases, and different organizations require these different use cases. For example, visa screening will be required where a lot of immigration related health checkups are done. This is primarily in large government practices also, where workers move across boundaries, national boundaries. TB screening is also part of that, but primarily it is used by NGOs and governments in high TB burden areas. And then the entire Southeast Asia, including India, is a very high TB burden area, as we all know. And that's where TB screening becomes important. And clinical productivity is in hospitals where radiologists are inundated with work, and AI can at least remove some of their stress, some of their burnouts, and improve the productivity in reporting. So this entire suite is our chest X-ray suite, and it can connect with any hospital existing ecosystem like a PACS. And the system is US FDA approved. It is C approved as a class 2B medical device covering both adult and pediatric chest. And it is WHO recommended as well. Very recently, we got WHO recommendation. So the chest X-ray AI is again, we received the US FDA CADI approval, which is a 510K approval, and it makes it one of the few organ-based solutions to help kind of look at the chest. And what we do is we separate these X-rays as soon as they happen. Let's say hospital has a big workload. Most of the government hospitals or private hospitals today, which are large, anywhere from 300 to 500 to 1,000 beds, will do between 200 to 300, 400 chest X-rays. The biggest challenge here is just separating those X-rays, which are normal, which are abnormal. If it is abnormal, then which are critical? Because if the list is 200 patient long, and then there are CT/MR also happening, we do a 50 CT, maybe hospital has 40 to 50 MR. Ultrasounds also, multiple ultrasound machines are running, and at least 30 to 50 patients are done in the hospital. How do I just look at the critical X-rays first? And the AI should at least be able to tell me there's a fracture, there's a pneumothorax, there's something happening in the chest X-ray. And that's what exactly the system does. It separates the X-ray within 30 seconds into normal and abnormal. And in abnormal, it basically tells which is critical, which needs to be reported first. And above that, it also goes and generates draft for abnormal reports also. So that's the entire package, and that is how the productivity comes in. It is not a replacement to radiologist. It's an assistant to the radiologist. And all the AI products which are coming in the workflow today, whether it is in any regulatory domain, very few products are today allowed. I will say it's like a rarity to have a solution which will say we said that it will be used autonomously. To some extent, the TB screening solution is one which could be potentially used to some level as autonomous. But apart from that, most of these tools are assistive tool to an expert radiologist. So coming to the way the system basically can be used for hospitals is a phased-wise approach. So again, there's a big barrier when it comes to using these systems in hospitals versus using these systems in a public health screening setup. Because the AI here is a complementary tool to the radiologist to improve the productivity. But at the same time, it is very important that radiologists as stakeholders need to get accustomed to this tool and be comfortable using it. Because at the end, when it comes to AI, there is always a little sense of like how confident they should be while using AI. So as a junior resident in a hospital or a doctor, the radiologist also needs to be over a period of time get comfortable that okay, the AI will do good here. Here it may or may not do well. Here it is likely to fail, and learn the nuances, just like how a student in a hospital, when comes for a residency, is in a very naive state, and over a period of time is likely to get more and more better as they work with the consultant. Something similar happens when we look at the AI as well. It is we basically talk about it like it's a solution which could be used as a resident or a virtual assistant, and just like complement your workflow. So when we start with the hospital, we start with the least barrier, the low suspicion workflow, that is sending normals. The second is sending normals with the normal report. The phase 3 is sending only the abnormal output for abnormal studies. And the last is adding the editable draft report even for abnormal. So that's typically how a hospital workflow is. Coming to the regulatory side, the regulatory process around all these solutions is a very long journey. And for us, if you look at it, the solutions are divided as CAD-E and CAD-T products. A typical CAD-T product can get approval from the US FDA within 6 months to a year. But for a CAD-E approval, the journey could be as long as 2 to 3 years. We went through the longer route. We decided to go for the CAD-E approval because CAD-E, the kind of category in which we got approval, covers the entire lungs technically, the lungs, the pleura, the heart, and the hardware. So the kind of study which you need to do to prove its efficacy and accuracy, that it is as good or comparable to an expert radiologist, is you have to use a large number of experts. And as a result, the study becomes complicated because it is also having something like a washout period in between. So if you look at it, it covers general opacity. If you see in the lungs itself, TB, pneumonia, nodule, atelectasis, fibrosis, lung mass, hernias, then opaque hemithorax, edema, calcification. In pleural conditions, it covers pleural effusion, thickening, pneumothorax, and covers cardiomegaly. And then in lines and tubes, most of those are seen in chest X-ray. In typically when a patient is admitted or in the IPD or in the ICU setting. And then we have to do clearances in different geographies. So that means we have to do again validation studies for this tool across different geographies. For example, the European Union, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indian CDSCO, Kenya, and Indonesia. And because it also involves public health and tuberculosis screening, then we have to also work with bodies like the Indian Council of Medical Research, with whom we're already working on a few pilots, and other bodies through which the system gets validated. So we also have image level, where we have to showcase how every disease condition the AI is performed in terms of its AOROC sensitivity and specificity. Again, this becomes a pretty long journey. And whenever we go for approval for European Union, or we go for Singapore, or we go for UK or USA, we have to have their local data. That also makes it very complex and costly as well. And then we also have to look at the pediatric X-rays in terms of image level detection. So for the regulatory study for the US FDA, we had to do this over 15 US hospitals using 10 plus acquisition systems, using 3,000 X-rays, and then ground truthed by a panel of 3 expert US board certified experts. And then an unaided aided test was done by 24 US board certified radiologists over a period of close to 2 to 3 years, with a 40-day washout period, so that they've completely forgotten what they had reviewed. And then again, sharing those same X-rays in a random manner with the AI assistance, or it could be earlier without AI and then with the AI. And then we had to demonstrate the sensitivity, the specificity, and the accuracy or the area under curve. And basically, then if you see, we had to do both standalone test and then comparison of unaided and aided study. And in both, we were able to demonstrate that radiologists which are aided with AI were able to detect much better as compared to those who are unaided, because the AI as a virtual assistant can help them quickly look into the area of interest and focus there and make a report, at the same time also demarcate the area. And because global health is very critical and important, we have been working with deploying the solutions in different geographies for public health, particularly in Africa, then Southeast Asia, and of course in India. And finally, after a round of 8 years, we received the WHO recommended, and now it is listed in the Global Fund catalog. That means organizations, countries, and nations in different regions, including Africa or India or Southeast Asia, or even I think it's a problem even in developed economies like the US, basically can look for the product on the Global Fund catalog and order for it like a drug. So basically, it is a software as a medical device. So this is just to show how the AI output is seen. So this AI output is generated within less than 30 seconds. And it basically shows the abnormality either as a lung nodule, or it can be shown that abnormality present in the lung. So there are 2 or 3 different options which region or geography we cater to. We can switch on the right kind of output to be shown in that region. And it can be shown in outline view, heat map view, or a bounding box view. Similarly, tuberculosis or lung lesions will be shown like this with the outline view, heat map view, or a bounding box. It can also be quantified, and this information of the site and the zone is also taken care by the AI, and this information is noted. This is how a sample output will look for a normal study, and that's how the normal abnormal. So technically, the AI has excluded presence of these findings. And if it's abnormal, then the output will be shown in this fashion, showing this is an area of abnormality. It may either show it's in the lung, or if you choose the other output, then it will show it is a lung mass in and or it will give the location and zone. So we also did studies, and we keep on presenting papers at various events like the RSNA, which is one of the important key conferences of radiology in the US, which we present every year. So this year also we have 3 research papers. And then we also present at Union, which happens across different nations, and it is a TB conference. And this was one such conference presentation where we at RSNA, where we were able to show that uh, 4 different hospitals where we use the solution, we were able to get a precision of between 96 to 99%, and false discovery rate between 1 to 4%, resulting in a reduction in workload from 37 to 63%, with the error rate in clinical settings between 6 to 11%. As I said, as you can consider this as a junior expert or a radiologist, but as a result, effectively reducing workload by 30 to 60%. So one is how do we understand that the AI is making mistakes? And even experts make mistakes. Even if you look at the rate of experts making mistakes, it could be as low as 1.5 to 2%. It would be, some hospitals have reported as high as 10 to 11%, which result in a very complicated scenario. And because medical imaging, the expert is looking just at the images, and in some cases may have been fortified by some clinical history. But want of history or other things result in misdiagnosis, or what we should say incomplete diagnosis also. So it's important in this case, though the ground truth is experts like radiologists, we can also take ground truth as CT scan reports. And it depends upon which modality and what disease condition you're looking for. And what the solution comes is that with the responsible AI model. So not only it helps in segregating normal scans and abnormal scans, it comes with explainable AI with smart reporting, but it also comes with the responsible AI, where in real time you will get to see performance in terms of decay and drift, fairness and bias analysis, and threshold tuning. So how does this happen? So let's say the radiologist mentioned in the report there is a nodule, and the AI is also saying there is a nodule. So if there's a match, basically that real-time analysis happens. If there's a mismatch that the AI said there's a nodule, but the radiologist did not agree, and we basically look at it as an overcall. And as a result of this, we basically understand how much overcall, how much undercall. So, and we need to understand what is the limit where the radiologist will say that this is the most balanced approach with this level of undercall, or I don't expect any undercall at some compromise of overcall happening. And that threshold tuning basically helps in setting up the use of responsible AI along with the solution, making it a real-time objective dashboard on the AI analysis. Because if we talk to a radiologist, and I'm a radiologist, I was practicing closely for 25 years. I was a professor as well in the past, and we are busy and we have multiple things to do. So what happens is, how do I get an objective analysis? Unless and until I don't document it on Excel, and that documentation basically helps us showcase how the AI performed in terms of the final radiologist report, because that will be taken as ground truth. And otherwise, it will just be more of a subjective analysis. And we have done now multiple research papers on the responsible AI model. And responsible AI model therefore becomes a separate tool from our portfolio because it is multimodal. It is fully vendor neutral. That means then it can be used for X-rays, CT scans, MRI, PET CTs, any modality where you have deployed AI, where it can be ground truth, which is the final radiology report, or any other investigations, including clinical histopathology, sputum, can be used to be as a comparison with the AI output. So the important reason why we need a responsible AI solution and why we really went ahead and created the solution is how do basically we build trust between AI and the expert? How do we ensure that AI is fair and free of bias? How do we explain the AI output? So the heat map, the bounding box, the outline views, the all those are required. How do I tune the AI threshold? Because some organizations may consider something as an overcall, and they may be willing to have some level of undercall. Some may absolutely not, like no undercall. How can we give feedback to the AI and we understand a gap? So if real world performance is what I'm saying is 99% or 97%, then in what is that real world performance? So that's something like a regulatory study. So how do I understand the real world performance of the AI? And how do I document it? And then how do I furnish it as evidence that this is actually objectively how it is performing in your institution? As a result, the productivity gain, what you're seeing is around 60%, 70%. So from zero, you have come to 60 or 70. So all this needs to be scientifically demonstrated. So these are just to show a few of the screens, how we track sensitivity, specificity using certain confounders of age, gender, ethnicity. And then how do we basically tune the threshold? We get also independent validation by and of 91%, specificity of 89%, with accuracy of 89%. And the solution, we basically call it Genki, because Genki is a Japanese word for healthy, and we want the global population to be healthy. As a result, this solution is called Genki, and it matches the WHO guidelines. This I discussed. So how's the workflow? So building AI is one just one component of it. We have to have the entire workflow around, and then only the deployment becomes successful. And this includes, it starts with the first solution as we built, which gets connected to X-ray machine and the AI analysis happens. But then it goes ahead, and we also created a patient registration app. So all the beneficiaries, particularly in the TB screening workflow, will be screened, and then the AI triaging will happen. And based on that result, within 30 seconds, you will get option to collect the sputum or swab, because there was a period where COVID and TB screening happened years back, obviously, and now. And so basically that workflows could be initiated. And this system works completely offline, but then it also connects to the cloud platform, as in when we have access to the internet, or when this van comes in access to internet. And then you have one more level of review by expert radiologists. So now you have a ground truth as well. Or it could be even hospital physicians. Now you can draw model decay drift, fairness bias, and threshold tuning. And then as a result, you also get a lot of analytics. Therefore, every beneficiary scanned at the glass gets documented, and visiting centrally are able to see the content control center. And that's the entire public screening workflow. So we have camps. Um, uh, One is Singapore, where we have been in deployment for last 3 years, where our primary area has been the platform deployment. So we have this platform which helps us in screening, and that has been deployed here.
Excuse
We
me,
also,
sir.
yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt you. Please, can you show the previous slide?
Yeah.
Before that, just 1 minute, sir. I want to take snapshot. Before, after that,
Yeah.
after this slide. No, not one. This is before, sir. After one. After this slide, sir. Yes, sir. This one, sir. Before case study.
Okay.
Before case study, sir. Wait, sir. Wait.
Yeah. Please let me know when I should continue. Is it okay? Should I move ahead or should I continue?
Continue, sir.
Yeah. So so we have been working with different geographies globally, like in Singapore. We have done a lot of research around this, how it has improved productivity, and we were able to demonstrate in the last presentation at RSNA that we were able to reduce the report generation time by around 73%, reduction in turnaround time by 91%, and critical patients were able to be prioritized because of this. This was a study which we did over 1,000 patients, prospective study over 1 year. So we ourselves provide chest X-ray reporting across the country through our own organization. And we started this in 2017. That time we did not have the platform. That time we did not have our AI as well. But we have transitioned to 2025. We were not doing any X-rays then. Today we do more than 2,000 plus X-rays, providing service to every corner of the country, primarily with the privately owned imaging centers and also public-private partnership-based centers. So we also did a feasibility testing for deployment of this platform in Bhutan, awaiting funding for the deployment. The feasibility testing is done. A few large imaging centers in India are on the platform. Large hospital networks are already using this platform and the AI. Working with a lot of different states. One of them is Tamil Nadu, where we have deployed since 2019, more than 5 years, screened using this solution, more than 15 districts, screened more than 500,000 patients. And this was in conjunction with Clinton Health. And using this solution, we were able to increase the yield of presumptive TB by 25 times. So before AI intervention and after AI intervention, and multiple research papers are coming out of this, and you'll see them in the public domain very shortly, which talks about how conventional X-rays versus digital X-rays, how the change has happened using this solution. The more and more sites across the country are now, and multiple X-ray manufacturers are looking at this solution. And as I said, we have been working across different sites across Southeast Asia as well. So that's the overall kind of perspective, which talks about how the AI has been used in the public health as well as in the clinical, and how this entire journey from the product conception towards product development, towards real world deployments, before that validation, regulatory clearance, and then now commercial deployments. So this entire journey is something that which I showcased. We have a entire technology platform, and at some point of time, I would definitely like to showcase that as to how this platform works. But this gives an overall a snapshot, and if there are any questions, happy to take.
So which algorithms you have used?
I'm sorry. I'm not able to hear you, sir.
Yeah. Which deep learning algorithms you have used for this? Diagnosing this chest X-rays, all those things.
Right. So I'm not a very technical person. And so basically, this entire tool is a deep learning tool. And primarily, whatever tools what we have demonstrated are the deep learning tools only. And the second important point is all this data annotations as well as the data validation just happens in-house because we have a large team of radiologists, around 140, and they become our independent validators and annotators of this data. And before that, before we go to the external validations for validating this, but this is a fully deep learning based algorithm.
But how can I use this deeptech.ai?
Right. So basically, for that, this comes on a platform. So this entire algorithm can be deployed on a platform as a standalone tool. And basically, it sits on a laptop. As I said, it's an edge solution. And then you can connect it with your X-ray machines, and then you can utilize this and then do your own internal studies or validation. So we typically, when we do that, then we work with a research MOU with the university. We have multiple research MOUs with multiple universities. Then after the MOU is done, we basically deploy the solution. You may take a license from us for a few X-rays. It could be a few hundred to a few thousand. Then basically everything depends upon the university to get the ethical clearance and then validation. And then finally resulting in a joint research publication or independent validation exercise as well, whatever is the right approach.
Okay, sir. Thanks for your information. Thank you.
Sir, I have one question. Can we use means only chest X-ray means it is possible that we diagnose TB by only using chest X-ray, or clinical data is also required, sir?
Very important question. Actually, TB is a very complex diagnosis. Chest X-ray is just one of the paradigm which is there. Finally, it is a gene expert test which is used for confirmation, and that's the most critical test. But what the chest X-ray does is shortlist high suspicion X-rays where we see evidence of finding. So these patients can 100% be directed for the gene expert test. Previously, it was only based on clinical. Then in some cases, family contacts plus clinical. Then where X-ray machine is available, then with the X-ray as well. With the AI on top of it, then you know which, if you're doing 1,000 X-rays a day, all patients may only based on clinical and chest X-ray cannot be sent for a gene expert because gene expert test also costly. So the AI act as the chest X-ray AI acts as a triage tool. It triages the correct X-rays and showcases or takes them only for the sputum test. So that's how it has reduced the cost also. Otherwise, such a large population undergoing gene expert versus those which are now shortlisted by AI as highly suspicious for TB undergoing a chest X-ray, a sputum sample for a gene expert test becomes easier. And that's how the overall cost has come down. And that also is a separate research paper which we should be available in the public domain in the next few months.
Sir, I am actually doing research
Right.
in one of the Mumbai Institute, and I have contacted you. I don't know you remember or not, but my name is Saili Salkade, and I am from this Mumbai.
Good.
So I am Mumbai University, and I have contacted you regarding some X-rays. So
Correct.
data part. So at
Correct.
that time, means you told that it could not be available. So is it like we can have a collaboration, or your institute is collaborating with different researchers to give such X-rays so that they can also contribute to research?
That's a important point. So we don't give data. We give a solution to you and you validate the solution. So that is how basically it is. We are not a medical institute or a medical college. So primarily validation of this will happen in a medical institute or a college. But if you're looking for data, then there are multiple data sources available, like the chest expert and so many other sites which give different data sets. One of the largest data set is basically the chest X-ray globally available. And I think that is what ideally most of the algorithms could be developed on. But the problem with these data set is incorrect labeling. So if you look at the labels on this data, these are absolutely not correct labels. Majority of these labels are incorrect. This needs to be fully looked into in a separate matter. You need to have a radiologist inside, you need to do first level, second level, third level of curation before you actually go ahead and start doing the data annotation. Otherwise, the basic fundamental data set itself needs a lot of correction. So when you use this data, this always has to be in support of a group of radiologists. Of course, you'll require along with not, it's just not about data, because you need to be as certain that the annotation is correct on this data or re-annotate the entire thing. So we typically hand annotate this data for the last 8 years, and this is a never-ending exercise. Till date, we continue doing that because every algorithm, even after that, we need to keep on improving and making it better. And it is a not only a costly but time-consuming activity. But after that, you'll reach a certain level of accuracy. So it's not something that can be just be done over a period of a year or something like that. So if you're developing something independently and you're looking for data, you'll have to go to medical institutions and medical universities. What we will give you is the AI algorithm on a platform.
Okay, so sir, so if we can contact, means I can contact you, can suggest me some AI algorithm which you are using, or then we can enhance that algorithm and help you out. Like that can be done.
So for us, we cannot enhance the AI algorithm without further regulatory clearance. For example, if I do some changes in the AI algorithm, we again have to go for an updated regulatory clearance. So what algorithms come, they come in a locked-in state. The algorithm is always locked in by the FDA. I can't add any new pathology. Whatever pathology I document in my regulatory clearance is the pathology that I will be able to give. What happens, what the research will do, we'll have to come up with a updated regulatory clearance for that. If at all we bring any new tools, for example, we want to bring lateral X-rays, or we want to do something around quality in X-rays. So this will be a separate clearance. And again, this takes again the next few years will go in this journey, in this entire process.
Sir, I have one more doubt, sir. Sir, sometimes in the X-ray, the operators, they don't know how to fix the radiation level within the limit. Because of that, if they exceeds the radiation limit beyond that, means if they pass that extra radiation to the peoples, they are get affected by the cancer. Sir. Because if there is any other method is there to avoid to pass that extra radiation level to the peoples, because we need to take precaution, because we don't know about that operators, because all the operators, they don't have the knowledge about that the X-ray machines and at the radiation level. Sometimes they do some mistakes, because of that most of the peoples, they don't know, they are indirectly affected by that radiations like that, because after 1 month or 2 months only they know that they are affected by the cancers, that kind of disease like that. Because how can we avoid that kind of situations? Is there is any AI methods are automatically adjusting that radiation level method is there to keep the people safe, sir?
Very important point. Actually, first of all, I want to remove certain misconceptions also. Whatever X-ray radiation dose that comes is typically in millisieverts or very, very less. A typical CT scan chest will be 1,000 X-rays done in a less than a few seconds. If you do a cardiac CT, it will be again more than thousands of X-rays of a chest done in a few minutes. So a chest X-ray versus a CT chest versus a person undergoing multiple CT chest, you can see the difference. 1,000 times 1,000 X-ray chest is happening. So the radiation dose which is going from a chest X-ray is absolutely minuscule. Secondly, radiation X-ray done and a cancer happening, something, this is a complete misconception. This is a complete misconception. There's nothing like you do a chest X-ray and the person will get cancer. It's just a coincidence. Because whenever chest X-rays are done, there is a stochastic, non-stochastic effect. So I think you must be knowing about radiation. So you cannot predict which patients will get, but at the same time, we know. So we follow the principle called ALARA, as low as reasonably possible or available, whatever it is. That and the time, distance, and shielding. These are pretty critical areas that we need to look into. So time means the lowest possible exposure, distance as far, which is around certain feet distance, and time and shielding. That means the parts which are not going to be given X-rays need to be shielded well. This shielding basically indicates. Sorry. Yeah. time, distance, and shielding, and the shielding which indicates like gonadal shields or thyroid shields. And if all this is followed, I think there is absolutely more benefits than harm because of any X-ray. And secondly, the kind of X-rays which are used for portable screening are handheld X-rays. So their output is absolutely low. And X-ray machines have a safety lock that you cannot keep the button pressed. It's just a shoot and release function. So otherwise the tube itself will go because the tube hits and then the machine, the X-ray machine gets worn out very easily or early. So I think I hope I have cleared any kind of facts about how to use X-ray machine and how much X-ray exposure is permissible. For example, healthcare workers like us, if we work with angio, and those who work in the cath lab are already getting exposed on a daily basis over 365 days. And they are continuously doing coronary cath angios or some other angios, and the kind of radiation they being occupational workers is very high. So we all have dosimeters on top of that, which is capturing any kind of X-ray going above that particular level. So chest X-ray screening is very valid, like breast cancer screening, very important, and more benefits. And rest in terms of radiation-related malignancy, something those occurring within months cannot happen. Technically, it takes years for cancer cell to build up, and there could be multiple other reasons for cancers to happen.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, I have one more
Hello.
question. Can
Yeah.
tell from research point which things can be done in TB? I'm doing research in TB. So can you suggest something in the chat box, or like you can just
Yeah,
one or two?
correct. The
we
important
written.
point in TB research is now that TB is one is detecting TB. Second is probability of active versus old TB. Are we able to go and deeper now? Then pediatric TB. The third is silicotuberculosis, that is areas where silicosis and tuberculosis are coexisting, and differentiating TB from silicosis. And these are important questions which in the future will come for more answers from AI tools. So basically AI getting more and more differentiated now. And that could be the journey most of the AI products will take in the future. So if at all you are doing research, I think these are areas that you could focus on.
Hello,
Sir,
sir.
you told TB and silicosis. No, sorry, can you type in? Just type down because it would be easy for me. 1 or 2 points. Okay, sir. Yeah, got it. Thank you so much. And sir, can you share your email ID if we have some problem? Then there is one more presumptive TB also I have heard. Actually, I got stuck up in point that subtypes of TB. So there I saw that X-rays are not self-sufficient for your TB diagnosis.
Correct.
So we require DST or these things.
There are 4 to 5 types of TB. We have basically the nodular, the caseating variety. There could be lymph nodal TB. There could be a bronchoalveolar TB. There could be a miliary TB. Then cavitating was one of that. And sometimes it could be in the pleural space. That's a pleural TB, pleural disease can happen. So no part is immune, including the chest wall from TB. But the commonest one, which will also be sputum positive, will be the one which will be basically the cavitating or the bronchoalveolar variety, which basically disseminates and is result in a sputum expectoration. The other varieties sometimes may even be sputum negative. Sometimes it is very difficult for patient to expectorate or give a sputum. And sometimes if the patient is immunosuppressed, again, in that particular situation, it will be difficult for the patient to expectorate, and or in that case, even if that happens, we may not find it to be positive on gene expert. So there are challenges. In certain cases, pediatric patients also find it difficult to expectorate and may not necessarily be positive on gene expert. So considering all these things, TB diagnosis becomes complex. So clinical history, family history, known contact, weight loss, fever, chest X-ray, and all these together, we basically then finally take a call and then decide what next.
Hello, sir. Sir, why did you
Okay, sir.
choose
Thank you.
Sir, why did you choose X-ray, deep learning for the X-ray, not for other reports like echo or DTP or something else? Is there any implementation problem or something?
No, I think there are hundreds of AI companies today, and every AI company is working in different space. There are companies which are working in the echo, someone who's working in the ultrasound. There are companies working in the CT lungs for CT lung nodules. There are companies for CT pulmonary embolism, companies looking at CT brain for stroke, MRI brain for stroke. There are a lot of musculoskeletal AI companies looking for fractures, pediatric and bone age. So there are hundreds of companies today doing all these things. And one company cannot choose multiple things, even they are well funded or they're starting bootstrapped. Healthcare is very complex, as you can see from the chest X-ray workflow I showed. Even chest X-rays have multiple workflows: pediatric, adult, clinical, visa, or TB screening, and then the entire workflow around it, right from patient registration to responsible AI, and validating those outputs and continuously updating and upgrading. And how we can do normal. The future is how good AI will be in doing abnormals as well. Writing a full-scale report where radiologist does not have to do many things but just sign off. That journey also is very long and complicated for abnormal reports. And AI will undergo multiple iterations before it reaches there. So similarly, similar complex journeys exist for other companies looking in pulmonary embolism or echo or ultrasound or CT brain. Journeys with healthcare is very complex, and a single company should ideally focus or not more than one or two products to ensure that they have a product which becomes usable and adopted in the market.
I
Hello,
see,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. How explainable AI has been addressed by this chest X-ray AI solution?
So as I said, I basically briefed in the call as well that the radiologist output gets to be the ground truth and the AI output, and both of them are then correlated, and then the dashboard is created, and it's a real-time dashboard. So if in that particular day AI called 20 nodules, but the radiologist only labeled 5, then basically you come to know what exactly is the accuracy of the AI, how much is the overcall. And what are the cases where the radiologist called a nodule but the AI missed? So that is the undercall. So that is why the responsible AI is a very, very critical component, because it gives an objective real-time assessment of the AI and the ground truth, which is the radiologist report. And then, as I said, in the future, you can add more things also, like a CT scan, or depending on which disease condition you're looking. For example, if you're looking for TB, then you can also add to that gene expert results.
Sir, before deployment of the solution in the testing phase, what is the value of that specificity and the sensitivity? Means what is the value at which it will be sure that now the solution can be deployed?
Yes. So as I said, WHO has guideline 90-70. For TB screening, it is 90-70. So your product has to meet and exceed those guidelines only. Then it will be basically utilized. So if there are multiple papers, research papers, there are few even in Nature Scientific Research, where our product, deep tech product, is also there. And if you look at that research paper, they have compared other AI products in the same kind of genealogy, where they're basically looking at TB. And then every product's performance is benchmarked. And the benchmark here is radiologist report and also sputum sample. And finally, that they already have a test sample. So when they audit across that using that as a test sample as a benchmark. And the minimum guidelines is your product should have 90-70 to even qualify inside. Then after that, it is basically benchmarking your product against other similar products in the industry.
Sir, sorry, sir, I didn't understand 90-70.
Sensitivity and specificity. 90 sensitivity and 70% 70
Respectively.
specificity expected for TB screening. About that product has to be above that.
Specificity is 70%,
70%.
sensitivity is 90%.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your insightful talk and very good interaction with our participants. And you are very briefly and explained about the chest X-ray and the tuberculosis diagnosis, all these things, and how the specificity, sensitivity, and relates with the diagnostic tools like that. Very much good session. I also learned many things. I am also doing my research in medical imaging. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of the sessions.
Thanks. So, dear participant, the next session will start just after 5 minutes. That is 7:30 p.m. So, please stay tuned.